Hello and welcome to Basement Fodder, the only show whose hosts have taken a piss in your Starbucks coffee. I'm Todd.
And I'm Dave.
And Merry Christmas to you, you bastards. You know what the real problem with the Starbucks cup is? That why you're paying $5 for that instead of giving $5 to something that's worth giving $5 to.
Yeah.
Starbucks coffee tastes like hot ass and Cheetos anyway.
I mean, coffee in general to me tastes
It does, but I actually think that there's a disparate thing about like the more expensive coffee is, the worse it tastes. This has been my experience with it too.
It's like that weird shit where they're like, oh, but that's gourmet coffee. I was like, it tastes like gourmet ass.
It's like expensive beer has this thing for me too. It's like the more I pay for beer sometimes, the worse it tastes.
Yeah. That one's kind of a toss-up sometimes, but yeah. I can see that.
Yes. I feel people have spent entirely too much time giving a fuck about what people put on a goddamn coffee cup. And why does anyone care?
Yeah.
You know? But I feel this way about many things. Many things. Like X-Files. Anyway, it's been a fun week of nothing, basically.
Yeah.
This has been one of those weeks where literally nothing has happened.
Yeah.
Other than us watching our normal shows and seeing a few interesting trailers. The Warcraft trailer came out. What did you think about that?
I liked it. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's heavily CG'd because of the orcs and stuff like that. But I mean, it is one of those, it kind of has to be because of the style that they're doing it very true to the game. So it has to be CG'd. But
were you creeped out by the baby?
No, not really.
I was slightly creeped out by that orc baby.
Actually, I find that baby to be cuter than any baby I've ever met in real life. But no, I thought the giant dire wolf and the griffin were really cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty sweet. Awesome. I don't know. It's a movie. Like I played Warcraft and I played World of Warcraft, and I definitely, liked both of them for different reasons and stuff. But I think I was more into the Warcraft game and the World of Warcraft other stuff like comics, books, different things like that, as opposed to the MMO, because the MMO is the basic problem with any other game where you're sharing like mass amounts of shit. You get a bunch of these douchebags, and it's, and then they tailor it to that, where it's like, to be a solo player, it's fucking ridiculously hard and stupid.
Yeah, and I just, it's again, I don't give a fuck about MMOs.
And the MMOs, you lack story. That's the problem too. It's mission and farming.
You lack story, and then also you're dependent on somebody else for your gameplay. You know what I mean? Like you're too dependent on other people for your gameplay experience. Oh yeah, I have no fucks about that.
Like some of the missions are like, you have to have at least 4 players to go through this, and I'm like, I don't want to, but I need to because like gear and stuff. And they're like, that's too bad.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I don't do online gaming pretty much at all for this reason. Like,
it makes sense.
They're like, to get online and game with other people. And I'm like, why? So I can tell them that they suck and I'm angry at them?
Yeah.
Like,
dog dick and I hate you.
It's mostly me being, like, belligerently angry that they're not doing the exact thing that I need them to do at the time that they need to be doing it.
Actually, that to me is people that expect that get on my nerves.
Mm.
Like, this
is why I don't do it, though, because that is how my mind works. Like, you need to be doing this. Why aren't you doing this?
To me, when people are like, why aren't you doing this? I was like, why don't you worry about your fucking character? Like, you're the one dying. I'm not dying. Like, you're supposed to be healing me. You're supposed to be staying alive. Quit being a dipshit. Like, what? Yeah, you heard me, fucko. But I'm the tank. Okay, well, tank's smarter then. Tank smarter, not harder.
Suck less, fucko.
Suck less, fucko. Get better gear, fight better, learn to press buttons better. Like, shit. I'm over here fighting my own thing, but you're supposed to heal me. Who says who? Is that in the manual? No? Fuck off. God damn it. Uh-huh. Or, dude, I've played ones before where it's like people got super pissy about that shit. Like, I was playing a druid, and druids, you can do all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, you go into animal form and you can help fight and stuff. The guy was tanking, and he was getting his ass handed to him. Like, our healer apparently wasn't doing a good enough job, so I was just like, oh, I'll go help. I'll fight a few things. And, I mean, this dude literally, like, I apparently must have fucked his, like, you know, his college dream or some shit like that, because, like, literally he got so fucking butthurt that he needed a subscription to Preparation H, because he was just like, oh, you want to fucking tank? Huh? You think you can fucking tank? All right, fine. And then just left the fucking thing. He's like, fuck you then. You know, it's just like,
I was just trying to help you.
I just tried to help
you
so he didn't
asshole.
die, dude. He was like, yeah, you're fucking taking my aggro and shit like that. I was like, who the fuck cares, dude? Like, I'm a druid. I basically do all kinds of things. I can heal, I can blast, I can fight. Like, I just help wherever I can. And couple of the people in my group were like, well, that was fucking unnecessary. Like, to the guy, like, really, dude? He was just trying to help. Then there was one guy who was like, you're not supposed to help a tank. And I was like, says who? He was dying.
I'm sorry, is that in the book too?
Yeah, I was like, is that in the manual of Go Fuck Yourself? Because it's like,
is that in the douchebag's guide to gaming or something? Like,
well, no, but it's common sense. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's just a bunch of fucking, like, douchebags that have all fucking, you know, kowtowed to fucking other douchebags to be like, this is how you play. No.
I played many years ago. I played the original Warcraft stuff, and I enjoyed it.
Original Warcraft was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and like I enjoyed like the old school figures and stuff. Like I have a few of those, and like I like a lot of the stuff that came out because of WoW.
The tertiary stuff.
Yeah, like the figures and the comics and stuff. But I couldn't give a fuck less about. Like I played a little bit, and I'm just like, boy, I could not give a fuck about this.
And to me, this is very much like Warcraft, the game, not like World of Warcraft. So I'm very excited to see it.
I mean, call it a failing with me, but I can't really play like open-ended games like that because there's no amount of linear for me to grab onto. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing at any time. You know,
you're like, oh, I completed this, and they're like, that's cool. The new expansion's coming out, and you're like,
I'm done. I do like things that have an ending. Yeah. Like sometimes I like game and even with games like Skyrim and stuff, it's like you can play Skyrim for 400 hours and you never have to fuck with the story, but there's a story there.
Yeah.
And you can end it.
Yeah. You know? And it
does exist.
That's kind of the problem with like some of these and stuff, and it's like I would like a little bit more story in my MMO and stuff.
Yeah. But farming is the part of video games I generally hate the most, and so like this is not for me because it's like 90% farming.
I like the ability to go farm. Yeah. I like to sometimes jump on a game where I'm just like, I just want to go fucking kill things and get lots of loot. Cool. Shadows of Mordor. That's fun. But at the same time, I like being able to like, okay, what's the storyline?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. For me, I like Shadows of Mordor for the random killing and the fun like combos and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think I need to play it a little bit more because I find it a little lacking in the story.
It seems like it might be, yeah from what I've seen you play.
It seems a little Assassin's Creed as far as like repetitive missions and stuff like that. Like there are some unique ones and stuff, but I'm like, people are like, oh, it's so amazing. I'm like, yes, it's good, but I would still take Witcher and Dragon Age over Shadows of Mordor.
God, yeah.
Any day of the week. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've yet to play a Lord of the Rings game that was actually as good as I'd hoped it would be, for various reasons. Yeah. Not just that. Like the last one, the War in the North, like there's parts of that I thought were awesome.
Yeah. It was too dependent on cooperative play.
Yes. And then like once you get into one place, you can never get back out. You just have to start over again. And that just infuriated me. Like I wanted to break that fucking disc. Two Towers game was probably the best Lord of the Rings game I've ever played. But that's because that's the best movie that they fucking made. Yes, it is.
I mean, even as much as I love Hobbit, Two Towers is still, in my opinion, the best of the Tolkien.
We talked about this before. Like as a 3-part series, as a story, as things that go together, I think Hobbit works better. Mm-hmm. But like Two Towers is the best movie they've made.
Oh god, yeah.
Like I would rather watch if you're gonna marathon, I'd rather marathon the Hobbit movies than marathon Lord of the Rings because I get so bored watching Fellowship, it makes me want to kill myself.
Well, see, that would be easy then, because you'd be able, we'd start out marathoning the extended editions of the Hobbit movies, and then as soon as we go into Fellowship, you'd be like, all right, I'm out. I'm gonna go take a nap. Wake me back up when we start Two Towers.
The Two Towers starts. You wake me back up.
And then
I can sleep the 5 hours through the extended edition of walking the movie.
Yeah. Like, oh goddamn. But yeah, I like the trailer.
It's like maybe we're trying to watch Raw tonight.
Yeah. You didn't even watch. I watched it. You didn't watch it.
I've been trying.
I didn't even watch it. I watched the fast forwarding through like.
This is why we're not going through in depth of Raw this week. You know why? Because last week we couldn't give a fuck, and this week when we tried to watch it, I fell asleep about 10 minutes into it.
And I could not fast forward it. Like there was I think there was like 2-3 matches that I not fast forwarded through.
I woke up just in time to see Bray Wyatt cutting a promo that I'm pretty sure is still going on somewhere right now.
And he said, "Bringeth unto me quesadillas."
I have gone to Taco Bell to get a burrito, but they did not have a burrito. He's like a really boring preacher.
But they said we have chimichangas.
We only have nachos Bel Grande for you tonight.
Oh, man. And we only accept card, no cash.
I went to McDonald's at 3 a.m., but they did not have a cheeseburger for me. Oh, I only had a goddamn dirty breakfast sandwich. Actually, that's me.
Yeah, that is your...
Fuck McDonald's.
Yeah, fuck.
McDonald's so excited about, we're gonna all-day breakfast. Hashtag all-day breakfast. I'm like, hashtag where's my 3 o'clock in the morning cheeseburger, you fuck?
Yeah.
How about that?
I was like, isn't it like mostly all-day breakfast anyways? Because you guys fuck me out of a cheeseburger when I really want it. Like, oh shit, I'm a drunk alcoholic at 3 a.m. and I want a cheeseburger. Nope. Sorry, it's breakfast time. In what country?
You know what I don't want?
What fucking country?
At 3 a.m. as a goddamn Egg McMuffin. That's what I don't fucking want. What no one wants. That's why they do that. Because they don't want to do anything. Mm-hmm. They're like, it's breakfast. Because they know at 3 o'clock in the morning, ain't no motherfucking want an Egg McMuffin.
Yeah. Dude, half the time now when we go to them, they just are closed. Last time I went, I
this McDonald's on the corner is dirty.
Yeah, and they just fucking, nope, we just turn out all the lights.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hey, fucko, it says 24 hours. Nope.
I know we're all over the place, but I just don't care.
Yeah, I'm very
ranty today. Today has been a day of like us ranting about different shit.
I woke him up to a rant.
Yeah.
Of like epic stupidity and like PC bullshit that I could not.
You know what that was? Lamb.
It was lame. It was so fucking lame. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't understand how one person, like, I may come across as, like, a really big asshole on this, and I just want you all to know, I sincerely do not give a single fuck.
Me either.
I don't care if God himself came down and said, hey, dude, you're kind of being an asshole. I don't give a fuck, okay? I'm sick of being told what I can and cannot say because some word back in the fucking 1800s had this weird negative connotation to it. I'm like, okay, well, it's like 2015 now, and the word means nothing of that same thing, but it makes me feel that way. Okay, well, then you need to go seek therapy. You need to go seek help where they can fucking medicate your dumb ass because you're being fucking idiotic.
Your rampant stupidity is offensive to me.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything about that.
But no, I'm not oppressing. You're not oppressing my freedoms. You're just telling me how much of an asshole I'm being because you being the one and only motherfucker in the world that somehow, feels this word's usage is offensive because, I don't know, in 1812 it meant something.
You might as well just say what the word,
it was lame. Yeah, it was lame. Like, I was being told I shouldn't say the word lame because, and I shit you not, the term ableism got used.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And I was like, I had to ask. I was like, how is lame insulting? And basically it got equated to said person was like, it was offensive to people with like disabilities. And
I have a disability. I'm not offended.
Yeah, I got a bum knee. I got friends that have like fucking also bum legs and wrists and all that stuff. And they were even like, yeah, we don't find it offensive. And she's like, well, you don't have to find it insulting or offensive. I do. And then I'm like, oh, okay, because one motherfucker does, I have to stop using it in my vocabulary?
Nope.
Like, fuck off.
She even equated it to using the N-word, which I thought was what
and
the fuck?
And here's the other part. She didn't even say the N-word.
No, she straight up dropped the bomb, man.
She dropped the word, and I'm like, oh, okay.
For real?
So we're like that now? Like, okay. But it was just, and I told her, I was like, I'm sorry that you're going to find me being an asshole on this one, but I just know. Like, I've got a fucked up knee. I'm actually probably going to have 2 fucked up knees and stuff like that. I know plenty of friends that are like that, and none of them find it offensive because
This isn't 1873.
And even then, when you think of, like, when you say all that thing is lame and stuff, you usually reference it more to, like, a horse. Yeah, an animal, a horse or something like that. And people are like, well, it did at one point in time. And I was like, yeah, you know, in times before automobiles were, you know, the telephone was made, like...
At one point, hell, in Britain, they call cigarettes fags. Like, is that, you know, being offensive to gay people? No, it's just what they call it.
Yeah. I mean, the word has evolved. And, like, in Webster, it has multiple definitions, you know, as far as, like, what they are and stuff. I think nowadays, though, they should kind of, like, I don't know, label them as far as, like, this is the current, but this is past definitions of what it is. You know, these are possible, but also past.
There are so many terms, though, that have, like, a past or whatever that aren't used for that anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was, like, and her mindset, be it hers and stuff like that, was one of those things where it was, like, I don't understand how you're getting to this mindset. And I'm like, but you are, and that's fine. That's on you and stuff. And, like, I basically, by the end of it, was like, look, I'll try not to say it around you, but for the most part, this is fucking stupid, and, like, I'm going to keep saying it.
I wouldn't even try not to say it around you.
Yeah.
I would say it more, because that's the kind of asshole that I am.
And in fact, like, there was very few people that were, like, there was one person that seemed like they were, like, rooting behind her and stuff like that, but I think by the end of it, they were like, yeah, this is even stupid. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, now you're trying to dictate my vocabulary as far as things that anyone who would even remember that this was an offensive term, I don't know, like, died out 50 years ago or something of that nature. Like, I basically said, I was like, some people try really hard to be insulted and offended and stuff, because I think it was
Dragon Age 2, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest quote of a video game ever, in my opinion, and it sums up how I feel about most people's opinions on shit. Some people try very hard to be offended.
Yeah.
I've said it a million times, and it's no less true.
And this is like, you know, today was my day off from school and everything, and this is what I woke up to. I woke up to, like, my Facebook feed being told that I shouldn't say lame anymore because one person has some erratic, irrational fear, and I'm like, so I should, like, not talk about spiders around you because you might have some weird phobia of them. Not like I'm showing you, but I'm talking about it. You find it insulting because you have a weird...
I'm offended by the word moist, and you can't use it around me.
Moist! This cake is so moist. You know, I'm sorry. It's one of those things. And then there was people like, well, you should just be a good friend and not do it because your friend's asking you. And I'm like, okay, but no. Illogical... No. Like, it's not like there's a group movement saying, like, we as a people find this offensive. You know, there was, in fact, there was the anti-this. There was more people that were like, we don't find it offensive. And she was basically...
You're being an overly sensitive idiot.
And she was like, well, I don't care. I'm the singular one person. And I'm like...
I don't care that you're the singular one person.
And like I said, I'm like, you know, I'll try not to say it. But at the same time... No.
I will not try not to say it.
To remember not to say one thing.
I'm glad I'm not friends with this person, because boy, the rant that I would have went on would have made that.
I mean, it's like there is a certain level of common courtesy, but at the same time, to try to remember one word that has been redefined multiple amounts of times to a point that it doesn't mean that, and not use that around said one person or within earshot, even though it encompasses a lot of things now. Is it fucking possible?
I had a friend that, like, had a serious problem with the word bitch for some reason. Like, I don't know why. They just really had a problem with the word bitch. It's not like, and I wasn't calling them a bitch, but, like, bitch is a word that's in my vernacular. I say it a lot. Bitch, piss, damn, cock, whatever. I say a lot of fucking dirty words.
Fuck, yeah.
I am a filthy...
If somebody was ever like, I find you saying fuck so much offensive, I was like, well, we should just
probably not hang out with me.
We should not be fucking friends then.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, well, here's the thing. Like, I just, like, could you just not say bitch around me? I'm like, no, I can't, because it's part of my speech pattern or whatever, and I'm not going to alter my fucking vernacular just so you are, you know, unhappy or whatever. I'm not going to call you a bitch. You know, and I wouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just a fucking word. What the word is not the thing, it's the intent behind it that is what matters.
If I'm just using it as
now, if I bust up to you and go, hey, Gimpy, you looking awful lame today, I don't understand why you would be offended. If I was like, hey, man, this fucking coffee is lame, that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, but you're referring to me and degradizing me as a person. And I'm like, what are you, Mr. Ed? Am I taking you out back and putting 2 in your dome piece because you can't run the fucking Tour de France or something? What the fuck? Like, Jesus Christ, you're the Secretariat? And it's like, oh, you broke a hoof? I gotta fucking kill you now? Like, what the shit is this?
He said Secretariat, and all I can think of is the old Bob and Tom, where like Larry King is supposed to be interviewing Secretariat, and he's like talking about a broken leg. He's like, a broken leg? Oh no, tell him that, Larry, they'll kill you. And he's like, no, I just put a cast on it when you're a person. And he's like, there's a cure for a broken leg? Oh my god!
Yeah, I mean it is. It's like one of those things where it's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Yeah,
there are certain words that you shouldn't say. Like, there are certain words that I have a hard time not using. Like, there's always been a big thing in the last few years about not saying retard or not saying gay. And I try really hard not to do it.
Yeah.
But it'll slip out occasionally. And it's never meant with a bad intent. It's always, like, meant in a different way. And it's just because, like, that's a speech pattern that's learned or whatever. And you try not to. And in that situation, yeah, those words are offensive. And I will try not to say them.
Yeah.
But seriously,
don't
come at me with this lame shit about lame.
To bring up a word that's the only negative connotation was probably back before my grandparents were born is like one of those like, okay,
it didn't apply to humans in the first place.
It's like, I think you were looking for it. Like, somebody brought up the thing where it's like, okay, well, we could use other terms like bum leg, but isn't that offensive to homeless people? Like, it's like, see, I mean, somebody's always going to be offended about something and insulted, and the best you could do is like try, but at the same time, it's like,
I mean, I could call you gimpy, but isn't that like offensive to those who are doing BDSM and shit?
Yeah, like, there's dudes showing up in fucking full leather masks, like, oh, more than offensive. Hold on, I couldn't hear what you said.
Unzip your face.
Unzip your face. Take the ball gag out. I find that offensive. Does your dom know that you find this offensive? Did she tell you could find this offensive? Like, you know?
I think we strayed away from what we were talking about earlier.
I don't even know what we were fucking talking about.
We're talking about video games.
And ranting.
Yeah. Well, ranting, we've definitely kept on that point.
We moved on to ranting from video games.
Now, video games has been a big thing this week because the release of Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And me being over here sad that I can't play it.
Dude, there is people that are fucking like crazy pissed. Like there was some shit with like Amazon as far as like them possibly not sending things out when they needed to, but like from what I understood, I think my friends got their games. One friend of mine decided he was going to chase down the UPS truck to get his.
You made my phone.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was like worth it, totally worth it, because he had the Pip-Boy edition. That like, yeah, I mean, I would chase down the UPS truck for the fucking Pip-Boy edition. I'd be flattening that motherfucker's tires. Like, where's
although I will never order another Mac edition after what happened with the Dragon Age Inquisition one.
Yeah. Well,
I got fucked so royally on that deal.
I will, depending on what it is. If
not
like,
from GameStop, let's put it that way.
Well, no, yeah, not from that. But I mean, if it was like all it is you're getting the Pip-Boy that comes in its own case, I'd be more inclined to do it. Now, if it was something where there's a lot of smaller pieces, I'm less inclined to do that anymore because of the conditioning stuff. Because I honestly thought that box would have been in a lot better of a like condition to hold.
That's like ultimately I got fucked over on it, but I got my money back and whatever, and then some, whatever. That's cool. Yeah. But it required a shit ton of fighting to get it.
Sour taste
in my mouth, and like to the point where like I can't really even enjoy the stuff that I have. Like every time I look at that box, as much as it's cool and there's so much cool shit in there, I can't look at it without thinking of the sour experience I had having to get the motherfucker.
Like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah. So no, fuck you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really cannot fucking wait to play Fallout. Like it just sucks when you're like when you're a broke ass motherfucker like we are, and you can't really like pay the $400 or whatever for a new system. It's like,
but like right now though,
you know,
for what all the talk is on Black Friday, like
I couldn't even do it for that because like Black Friday, I just can't do it anymore. I'm too old for that shit. Like
I still got a few Black Friday.
I can't fight with some old lady over.
I still got some Black Friday fucking fisticuffs left in me. I think I got about another like 5 years left of fucking like, you know, big screen TV ass whoopings.
I'm the guy who goes like in that evening to pick what's left of the bones. Like I'm the vulture of Black Friday. I pick the carcass of what's left.
Yeah,
like, ooh, cheap DVDs.
Hey, this game said it was supposed to be this. You know? But I guess the deals are that it's supposed to be like PS4s and Xbox One $300 bundle deals with games and stuff like that. And a lot of people are. I've already like posted things on about it, and people are already like sending comments like, "Oh, no way! I want to keep my intestines, and I don't want to get the crap kicked out of me." And I would have been like, "Well, that's because you're weak, and you wouldn't have survived anyways." Like,
yeah, because Dave's gonna be in the middle of the scrum going, "How many people want to kick so bad?"
Yeah, it's like literally, I want you in the background just holding the boombox, and I'm like just sitting there with brass knuckles beating the shit out of people. Sir, were you here for something? Yeah, this. I was just here to punch people. Like that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to get some aggression out. Like, I wanted some motherfucker to hit me with a cardigan and like me just fucking immaculately myrtleize them. You know. But I don't know. I debate whether or not I want to actually do it. But like, $300, but it's for the 500 gig. Mm-hmm. Whereas I could go and pay an extra $100 and get the terabyte.
I just don't even know if I'd ever even use 500 gigs. Like, my God, dude.
Considering the size of the games now, though.
Well, of course, I know nothing about how big the newer games are.
Because I know with my 360, I got the 120 gig, and like I think I've just now cracked down into like the 80s or less gigs on it and stuff. So it's like I don't know how much I would use, but you know, I'm like, there's a terabyte. Why can't I get the terabyte issue?
Everybody's all excited about Fallout, and here I'm just getting to Dishonored this week.
Yeah, everybody's all excited about Fallout, and I'm like, I want Witcher 3. Like, that's the game I'm going to be buying with my bundle. It's like, fuck, like I like Fallout. I love cool Fallout and stuff like that, but it's not the game that screams.
But I'm a latecomer to that too because I didn't get into Fallout until like 6 months ago.
You did like backwards. Like they gave you New Vegas, and then I end up giving you Fallout 3.
Yeah,
you know, to play.
I had New Vegas first. I think they're both fun and excellent, and like I love them. Yeah, and they help me become better at first-person games. Yeah, actually, they help me want to play first-person games. Yeah, like Skyrim actually broke me on that. You know, not being able to play first-person.
That was what cracked the thing. But I think
Fallout, this solidified it because like I'm playing Dishonored now, and it's a completely first-person game. Like with Fallout and with Skyrim, you have the option to play in third-person. Yeah, I don't have that option in Dishonored. Nope. And I was a little bit trepidatious when I cranked it up because of that, but I haven't had any problems so far.
No. It's like
I'm enjoying it. Like it's different than the type of game that I would normally play.
It's like once you acclimate to first person, you know.
Some of it I still don't like. I don't care about first person shooters whatsoever.
Oh God, no.
Like I will never play that shit.
Yeah, I'm not. And even for me, that's it's a problem of perspective. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not really a huge fan of that because it's like it's hands. It's been described as it's hands. Yeah, that's all you're seeing.
Staring at hands.
Yeah. And then like to me, I guess I can understand what they're trying to go for and stuff, but it's like it still is weird. It doesn't flow naturally and stuff, and they're like, oh well.
Because in your real life, when you're looking, you're not just looking at your hands. You know, there's no true first person unless you're in one of those simulator machines.
Yeah, like the VR type.
Yeah,
thing,
with the virtual reality. You actually,
because like, you know, I don't really get into that. And plus, like, again, it's like the community on first-person shooters is probably, I don't know, what I would refer to as, like, the fucking scumbags of the fucking world. Like,
yeah. It's the same guys who play nothing but Madden and Call of Duty, and I don't give a fuck.
Like,
I like games with stories.
And they, like, it's all tournament. Like, that's... Yeah. I know people that own all the Call of Duty games and have never played the fucking the campaign modes, or they play it as far as they can so they can unlock the multiplayer because they started doing that where you had to play it to unlock multiplayer. So I'm more excited for games with story.
Yeah, like those first-person shooter games, they just don't have anything that appeals to me about them.
I've always been more for action, like adventures and RPGs.
Yeah,
you know.
Fallout, however, like Fallout is definitely RPG.
Heavy RPG.
Heavy RPG. Like I'll probably spend 4 hours creating my character when I get it, like because the character creation is very heavy in this one. And like I've just all the things that I've seen about it, all the new things that they're adding to it, like being able to build your own cities and shit, and like that's just a really fucking cool thing.
Yeah. There's a lot of intense stuff to fucking be getting down on.
Plus, I really like the world. Like, I like that retro future, you know,
post
kind of world. Yeah. It's very, very cool. So I'm looking forward to that one. I mean, like, I feel that, you know, I don't know. There's so many things that get hyped and whatnot. There's a lot of stuff that's been hyped lately, and there's many of these things that I'm sitting over here not giving a shit about. Like, yeah, of course, Star Wars, because I don't care enough. Like, I'll watch it, but I'm not going to give a fuck about it. Like, I must go the first weekend and the first showing. I must see it right fucking now and wear a suit and I don't give a shit. Like,
well, I thought about it, but any more these days, I'm not going to, because most theaters have banned cosplay on it. Mm-hmm. And that was actually, for me, one of the fun parts about going to Star Wars and stuff like that, was the dressing up and having the lightsaber battles and stuff like that. And they've basically said no to all of that now. Like,
I get why you would like that or whatever. It's not for me, but I get why.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's kind of... I understand why they're doing it, but it's at the same time, it goes back to one of those things where it's like overprotective mother that's like, I'm gonna put you out in that fucking like tire snowsuit where you can't even move around and stuff like that, but as long as you don't get cold. And I'm like,
the thing that like annoys me about going to premieres of geeky movies and shit is that like there's too much chit chat.
Too many geeks
and too much mouth breathing and too much goddamn shit chat. And I'm like, if I'm here to watch the motherfucking movie, I don't need to hear your goddamn Wikipedia running commentary about it while I'm trying to watch the motherfucker.
Put your fucking tablet away. Put your fucking tablet away.
Shut up, and I'm gonna take your tablet and I'm gonna shove it up your fucking ass. It's gonna become a fucking Windows suppository.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a shit. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like, and actually in the comics, like this happened at one of the Avengers movies. I can't remember if it was. I think it was the second one. I could hear this motherfucker behind me talking the entire time. Actually in your in the comic book universe, this is what happened. I'm like, you know what? Hey, I don't give a shit.
And
I know the answer. You're wrong anyway.
Yeah, that was the funny. That was the funny part. I think that's what angered us more so too. Was the guy was spouting dumb, wrong shit. Like I was just like, did you read this on Wikipedia? Like. That's not correct.
The only things you're going to hear out of me during a movie is, holy shit, that was awesome. Or if it's bad, yes, I will sit there and talk during it because I don't give a fuck anymore. Yeah. Like, Wolverine was the perfect example of that. Yes, our Meet Cute movie. Wolverine was the example of that. We talked through that whole movie, but it was mostly because we were just so stupefied by the incompetency of it.
Or we would say, God, Liam Schreiber is the best part of this movie.
The only part of this movie that's any good.
Yeah. And then, fuck.
Wolverine's at the Kent farm, but whatever. Speaking of Kent and Superman related things, we watched was it the second or third? The third episode of Supergirl this week. Mm-hmm. And it is definitely getting better week by week, I would say, for sure. Like
Which is actually interesting because the ratings have been dropping week by week.
I expected that.
Settling, I think, is what they're like. They dropped from like the super hyped first thing to they're kind of like settling out and stuff like that, which I think is good. They said it's still doing better than Gotham.
Yeah, well, I'd rather eat a turd than watch Gotham, so yes, that. Mm-hmm. I like what they're doing with Superman in it. Like, I like the fact that Superman is something you can't get around when you're doing a Superman-related show.
Yeah. When
you're doing a Supergirl show, you can't get around saying things about Superman, but they're doing it in a good way. They're doing small things, and they're, showing him in silhouette, or they're doing things that they're talking about him but they're not talking about him, what I mean? Like, and I like that.
Like, he's there but he's not there.
And this week's episode was very much about like her trying to stand on her own and not need his support.
Yeah.
And not. But
it was a very like him heavy episode and stuff, because it was like the villain was Reactron, Reactron, worst goddamn name ever. Mm-hmm. Which they poke fun at that. I love that. But it is one of those things where it was like he was a bad guy who took Superman to his limits, and Superman couldn't beat him, so how was she supposed to handle it? And that was a big thing for that episode, and I think they did a really good job with it. Mm-hmm.
This is also the episodes are further solidifying my theory that fucking Hank Henshaw is actually the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, this is actually not something that we're alone on. A lot of people, I think, from what I've read, think he is John Jones because of the things that he's doing, and I think it works out because everybody was like really surprised about him being Hank Henshaw, and it sucks because like they're like, oh well, you can. It is a race thing, but not because they changed it. Like, oh, they changed him to being a black guy. It was like that's that would normally be fine, except for that Hank Henshaw is a character that
he eventually becomes Cyborg Superman, which would require him to look like
Superman. It is really hard. So there's a lot of different theories as far as like so far in the storyline, we think it's Hank Henshaw has already died in space. And Martian Manhunter has taken his name.
Yeah.
and, you know, chosen
because he had level of security clearance and shit of that nature.
So, like, we think it's something of that nature, which would make it really, that would actually be a really cool way to do it and stuff. We'll have to see if we're right. But, like, this week's episode really kind of hinted towards him being, I think, Martian Manhunter.
I think one of my very favorite things that they did in this episode was at the very end of the show when she, you know, she's proved herself to be able to, you know, defeat a villain that he couldn't defeat, you know. Yeah. That, you know, she's sitting at her desk at Catco and, like, her instant message pops up and it's like, hey, it's Clark, you know, you did a great job, like, you know, this, that, and the other, like, you did something I couldn't do, you know.
Like, at first he was very much like, you know, I won't come to save you and stuff like that.
Sorry about that. Like,
like, sorry about that.
It won't happen again.
I won't do that again, like, you know. But he was like, you know, you don't feel down about yourself or anything like that. Like, you did something I couldn't do, and, you know, he's like, you know, I'm proud of you, you know, we're family, and, you know, just, you know, keep on, you know. She's like, how do you do it? And he's like, you know, you just gotta do it your own way.
Flash also this week was excellent as usual. Like, I've yet to see an episode of Flash I didn't consider to be awesome, but
this episode was interesting, very interesting.
We're dealing very heavily into the Earth 2 stuff now.
Yeah. And dropping some very fucking powerful names.
Yeah, and then, like, Zoom is very much in this episode, like, and actually in, you know, their Earth now.
Yeah, and
you get to get a good, nice look at him close up, and he's, you know, heavily involved, and he basically, you know, hands Barry his ass. Like,
I mean, like,
beyond belief. Like,
hands him his ass.
Which is, man, the Zoom suit, like, I can't get over how awesome it is. Like, I really love what they did with it, and, like, using Tony Todd as the voice of it, just really very cool.
Yeah. Because he does have that very iconic, otherworldly type voice,
and doing, like, the storyline where Harrison Wells of Earth 2 has come in to be part of things, like, really is cool, because as much as, like, it's like, man, Tom Cavanaugh was so awesome in the first season, and, like, I was at the end of the season, I'm like, yeah, it's great that he defeated Reverse Flash and, like, negated him from existence, but I really am gonna miss Tom Cavanaugh.
Like Tom Cavanaugh is, like, as Harrison Wells, is literally like a foundation block. You can't, like, he's that type of character. He's like, as much as you know, he's one of those three main fatherly pillars that Barry has, you know, whether it's like Joe, his dad, and then there was Harrison, and it's like they each all had their own different thing, you know.
And is heavy-handed hinting that his daughter is Harrison Wells' daughter of Earth 2 is going to end up being Jessie Quick,
which would be
awesome. Is a favorite speedster character of mine.
Yeah,
a lineage character, which is very cool.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. And then the preview showed that next week we're getting Grodd again, which is
and it's like
so happy.
It's very Grodd like heavy as far as like he's evolved more and come into his own as far as like talking and doing all that stuff, and that's going to be amazing.
Speaking of the DC television universe.
He did it, ladies and gentlemen.
I made good on my word.
He did it.
I made good on my word. It took me a long time to do it.
Yep.
But
and I didn't have to prod him or anything. He did it on his own.
I did it on my own.
He's a big kid now.
I started watching Arrow on Netflix. And I'm going to be honest, I was wrong. Because I thought I had made it like 6 episodes in, but really I'd only made it like 2 episodes in.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff that I was remembering or thinking I was remembering from it was actually stuff that was happening in the last part of Smallville with Green Arrow.
With Justin Hartley's Green Arrow.
Yeah. And so I basically like started it the other night, and by the time I finished I had gotten through 12 episodes.
Yeah. Which is pretty substantial.
Through an hour, basically.
Hour episodes. It's like binge watching 12 hours is, you know, kind of rough. Yeah. It's very good. I still think for me Flash is the best show. Yeah.
But it is much better than I gave it credit for, and like there are still some things, like I do still think that there are times where Stephen Amell is very wooden, but I still think that it's a good character. The character is good, the fighting is great, the choreography is fantastic, the character development of the other characters is very good. The first season is very heavy on the mystery element of like what's going on with the project in the background, and you know Oliver's mother and father and that kind of stuff, which is very cool, you know, and getting to see the Huntress episode was cool because I'm a big Huntress fan.
Yeah.
And they did her very
Deadshot.
well. And Deadshot, yeah, they did that well. And, like, finding out, you know, what happened to him on the island is very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I like how they're heavy with the flashback, you know, and explaining and things like that. Like, half of me is like, I just want to see the show where he's on the island for 5 years. I mean,
that's the thing, though. Like, being into season 4, I will tell you that the flashbacks still happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the flashbacks are still a very predominant thing about the show because it's like they didn't want to just like say all 5 years of what happened to him in one season. Like, every year the seasons go on, it's another year of that he was on the island.
The character I hate the most is Quentin Lance.
Oh, you don't like Lance, Detective Lance?
I vehemently hate him. Like, he's such a massive douchebag for the sake of douchebaggery. Yeah. Like, and I love the actor. I love him.
He does a really good douchebag. He does a really good douchebag.
Yeah, that he is the character. I just, every time he comes on screen, like, I just frown. Like,
because he's not Joe. Like, that's the thing. He's the opposing.
he's the anti-Joe.
He's the anti-Joe because Joe is very like okay, and it basically accepts it and stuff like that. But that's because you got to look at the relationships. Like, Joe was Barry's father and stuff like that, so it is very like a nurturing thing. Whereas Quentin lost his daughter, you know, who he loved because of Ollie. Like, so it's very opposing.
I get that completely. He has every right to be pissed, but like Laurel brings it up in the season. She's like, okay, you've been spending all this time being angry at Ollie, but Ollie didn't force her on that boat. You know, like, it takes two to tango and shit, and like she fucked up. Like, she was like, you know, I've been mad at her and you've been mad at her, but like, he didn't rape her and he didn't force her on that boat. Like,
no, and that is true. It's like, it's one
yes,
of
he is
things,
responsible for the thing that killed her, or maybe not really killed her because I haven't watched the other stuff yet, but like, you know, he has a right to be angry, but then he also is not assigning any blame to her, and that's not really fair to Oliver either. And obviously, like, since he's come back, Oliver's doing, like, a thing, like, it is, like, okay, I did compare Arrow to, like, what I hated about, like, the Nolan verse and shit, and I take that away because it really isn't like that, but there is one element of it that I think is similar to the way that Bruce acts in, like, Batman Begins. Like, he makes the public jackass of himself, you know, in order to keep the heat off of the fact that he's Batman. And Oliver's kind of doing that too. Like, Oliver, you know, he makes a jackass of himself at the groundbreaking of the building that's, you know, named for his father. Like, he goes out and gets drunk and, you know, pissed or pretends to or whatever. So people will still see him as the jackass that he used to be. So they're not going to see him as the guy that he is now. You know? And it makes sense.
It does make sense because it's like, you know, people are tend to, even his family are like, you're different, like the things that he can do and the way he moves and like how he which, as much as I love parkour, I will say they toned that down a lot more in the later seasons and stuff, whereas they upped the more combat like sequences. Like, I think what I would say is not necessarily they toned it down, as they blended it better. Where it wasn't just like, look, he's doing parkour. It's like,
there's that one scene that like he's trying to get a bullet that he was shot with that's in the side of a building, and he's like broad daylight, not in costume, and just parkours off the side of a fucking building. And I was like, okay, if anybody didn't think you were the Arrow before,
they definitely do now.
They probably do now, dumbass. But now I'm enjoying it, and I'll continue to watch it, and like, you know, I'll probably, you know, continue to enjoy it as well. So,
but it is definitely one of those where it's like, I like Flash, but Arrow speaks a little bit more to me because that's more the style of hero I would be, the more combat heavy, whereas like Barry's a little bit more gadget science heavy, but I mean still combat, but it's like powers and stuff. Plus tonally it's a little bit more,
it is like they've made Ollie a different kind of character, and like that's kind of one of the things that had put me off initially is like I like Ollie as he is in the books, and I don't see that as much in Arrow as I do seeing like the Barry from the books in Flash, you know what I mean?
It evolves like through the thing like that, you know, it, because I think the one thing is with like the comics and the shows and all the animated stuff is they show you Ollie after Ollie's been the Arrow for like Green Arrow for a good while. They never showed him like right back off the island and what he went through. And even in the comics, they were really toned down on what he went through
Yeah.
in certain runs, certain iterations of it. There
Yeah.
was like the more like, oh, he was just stuck on an island, you know,
Yeah.
like fucking Gilligan's Island. Then there's like, you know, there's ones where it was, then where it was very fucking like, oh yeah, by the way, did I mention there was cannibals and all kinds of other motherfucking shit on this island that were trying to kill me? And that was an episode that was on there too, like where people were like, "Oh, you were just stuck on an island." He was like, "Yeah, but what you all don't understand was I wasn't the only one on that island." And then, like, you know, 30% of his body is scar tissue, and he was fucking tortured by people who are professionals and stuff. So it's like, and I think that works because, like, when they basically decided that they weren't going to do like Batman and stuff. Mm-hmm. Ollie's the next best kind of, he can be kind of like Bruce and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's the trap, though, is that like there are times, even as much as I'm enjoying it, where I think that they're making him too much, like they're analoguing him too much. They're like, we can't be Batman, so let's make him Batman. And
they do that a lot, but it's something that happens, I think, less and less as the seasons go on. Yeah. But yeah, it's very like tonally, and even that gets brought up in the series. Like Joe, like once they do like the first crossovers and stuff like that, Joe's like, don't ever be like Ollie. Like, don't be that type of hero and stuff. Like, that's not you and stuff. Because like Barry kind of idolized Ollie for a while,
right? And
then even Ollie's like, don't be like me. Like you, like I have to be the way I have to be because of my city. Like that's. You know, and I think that does kind of speak to the elements of like Barry and Ollie ring very true to how Clark and Bruce were, because Bruce is very much, or I mean, Clark was very like, well, you got to be all dark and breaking people's bones, and he's like, we're not in fucking Metropolis, motherfucker. Yeah. Like my villains are not all happy-go-lucky. My villains want to skin people alive. Yours just want to break into banks. Yeah. Like
it is a difference. This is the thing with Batman and Superman. That's very much, and it is very much what they do with Flash and what they do with Arrow. Flash's villains tend to be more over the top, and they tend to be more like your classic supervillain. And the villains on Arrow tend to be a little less that
more
way,
thuggish and more thuggish, serial
more
killers.
Street level. Yeah. And that's like, it is like, it's a good balance of like what your sensibilities are. Like, I love superhero stuff, and so I get that from Flash, but then I also like, you know, some of the darker stuff, and you get that from Arrow.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to believe that they're the same people do both, because of the tonal difference is so different.
It's so different and stuff.
And then even with Supergirl, it's the same thing. It's like their tonal difference is even more bright than Flash's.
Yeah.
Like Flash, like it's like Arrow's the darkest, and Flash is kind of like it's lighter, but it's still got some darkness.
There's still
to
some
it.
heavy
Supergirl,
tones.
there's no darkness in that show.
Yeah.
Like,
or at least if it is, it's very like, it's not super dark. Like it's, you know.
But the show that I think I was actually the most impressed with this week was S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was damn good.
S.H.I.E.L.D. was a hard show to watch in places because of, like, the character things that were happening, and, like, a big reveal that, like, no one expected. Like, okay, yeah, spoiler alert, like, Lash, you know, is Andrew.
Yeah, is fucking May's husband.
I was just, that is, you know, and I like how they didn't take a lot of time explaining how it happened, but how it happened makes perfect sense. Yeah. And then how they figured out it was him makes perfect sense. Like, there's two different ways of how they figured it out. Like, some people were over here figuring it out, and she was over there figuring it out because of John Strucker and all that, but it was a very well crafted.
Actually, there was three different ways, because there was Lincoln figured it out on his own, May figured it out because of what she was told, and then it was like they kind of had an idea, you know, inside, and then it was like they came together. It was really good.
The storyline, you know, the side stories in S.H.I.E.L.D. are what get me a lot of the times, and the side story, you know, about Fitz and Simmons and like
it's fucking brutal, man.
It's literally painful to watch.
It is painful to watch because, like, man, they are fucking doctor reading the shit out of Fritz, like. You know,
poor Fitz, he is just getting fucked over on this deal.
Hard, dude, hard.
She had him, like, you know, clean up the SIM card from her phone, you know, and all these recordings that she made while she was trapped in the other world about, like, basically how much she loves him.
Yeah.
And then she falls in love with some fucking astronaut that happens to be there.
And then he fucking gets the slap bang picture of them fucking cuddled up together. I'm like, did you really just take a selfie with the guy?
Why don't you just kick Fitz in the nuts? Why don't you just walk in there and be like, hey, excuse me, Fitz, let me kick you in the balls repeatedly until you die.
By the way, can you help me go back to this place that I got stuck that you fucking been searching for 6 months?
I half expected him to find a goddamn sex tape on there. Like, they were just fucking this guy so hard. Like, Fitz, did you decode the part of it where I'm sucking his cock? You know?
And it was ridiculous because it's like, man, when you looked at the episodes of what he went through, like, he went up into a fucking Middle Eastern fucking, thug thing where they were all about to fucking kill him. He didn't give a single fuck. He did not give a single fuck and was just like, no, this is the woman I love. I'm going to get her back. And she's like, oh, but by the way, I spent 6 months with this fucking, fuckhead who... basically kept telling me what I can't do, and then eventually his machismo factor fucking somehow made me my panties drop and shit. And I'm like,
this other stuff that they're doing with this other organization that's hunting the Inhumans and shit, and like fucking
ATC,
the ATC, and the chick who's running it, who looks like Uma Thurman from fucking Pulp Fiction, got dropped down every branch of the fucking ugly tree. I hate this bitch. I like passion of 1,000 hells.
I like her as a character. The actress
I hate her
really
as a character
good.
too.
I mean, like I like to hate her because she's a really good actress at what she does and stuff. She's very very subtle and stuff. She does a really good job. But the thing is, he cannot get over these fucking scars that she's got on her face. And I think these are like legit scars the actress has.
Yeah.
And it's like they fucking
it's one of those things where like sometimes they'll put someone in a movie and like they'll be like, oh my god, this person's like super hot, attractive or whatever, and I'm like, it's Steve Buscemi, like and this is what this is. Like Coulson's like, oh, what's up, and like got all hard on for this chick, and what I'm like, she's Steve Buscemi, like what are you doing?
It's not even like she's Steve Buscemi. It's like Coulson is Heidi Klum and she's Seal. It's like, how do you not see, I don't know, the side of the moon on this motherfucker's face?
Yeah, like I just can't get into it. And at the end of it, like, he fucks her, for Christ's sake.
And you literally, I thought you were going to vomit.
I lost my shit.
You were like, I thought he was going to vomit when he, like, saw them get dressed and kiss. He was like, oh! Like,
you pressed your lips to the hatred that's on her face. I'm not like a person who hates ugly people or something, like, but like it's just
I can understand why you don't like it and stuff like that, but like
because it's Phil Coulson, man. Yeah. Phil Coulson is a stone cold pimp. Like you've seen the chicks that Phil Coulson bags, and it ain't fucking hatchet face. And this one
looks like maybe she should have a bag on her face.
Yeah,
I'm just
she should have been put in one at birth. Like fucking
like 300, they throw it off the cliff. Yeah. But. It was a good episode.
I'd rather put my dick in a Kardashian than fucking fuck this chick. Yeah. Like
I really liked what they did with like Lincoln. What they did as far as the
Lincoln goes back and forth with me because sometimes I like him as a character and sometimes I think he's a whiny douchebag.
I can understand that, but I like the fact that they basically let him kind of fucking go buck shit, where they were basically like, oh, okay, this motherfucker's been in your organization killing all of my friends. Yeah. Like, and you guys were like, no, don't hurt him. And he's like, fuck you. He's not wiping your people out. He's wiping my people out.
Well, it's also interesting that they talk about, like, May is late, or they're like, he's still Andrew or whatever. And he's like, you don't get it. And humans can't change back and forth. Yeah. He's still going through the process. Like, he's going to be Lash.
Yeah, like, once he... Yeah. Goes,
it's like Banner becomes the Hulk and he can't go back anymore.
Yeah, like, and that's that's how it is. And
makeup's really good on Lash.
Makeup's really good cool. And stuff. And I really liked how he played it, like when he was talking about, like when he started going through the reasoning. Mm-hmm. Like he did a really you believe it. You are he believes he is justified in what he is doing, and that he is trying to help like Coulson and May and all that stuff. And it's like really interesting.
Right, the best villains to me are the ones who don't consider themselves to be bad guys. Yeah. Like, those villains that vamp are like, oh, I'm the most evil motherfucker on the face of the world. No. The villain to me that makes the most sense is the hero of his own story. Yeah. He's the Lex Luthor villain or whatever.
He's Doom.
He's Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom is the hero of his own story.
Yeah. Doom believes that he is the best hero in the fucking world. Like,
that's why ultimately insane. The Joker, like, everybody loves the Joker, but like the Joker is not the greatest villain for me because of that reason. The Joker's not the hero of his own story. The Joker doesn't give a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
He's just so much of a fucking I don't care, and he's so batshit insane. Like I can't connect to him whatsoever. But like I can connect to Luthor, I can connect to fucking.
He's a very niche bad guy. Like the Joker isn't like a diabolical bad guy. Like I'm so evil and diabolical. He has one goal. And one goal only, and it's to just fuck with Batman.
Yeah, that is the purpose of his life.
Yeah, he does not care, and it's like I like that focus. That
that's
drive.
why it's hard for me for the Joker to be his main nemesis. Like that's why I feel that like other villains work better as his main bad guy. Like that's why like Freeze or like Riddler or somebody like that works better as a more main bad guy, because Joker is too focused on one thing to be like the be all end all.
I can understand from that standpoint, but I understand why he is the nemesis, because Bruce is all about control.
Yeah,
he is so control heavy, and you can't ever control the Joker, and that's why he's the nemesis, is because he is the very opposite of Bruce. He's like just random chaos. Now, as far as a level playing field, no, I don't feel like he's the best nemesis. I feel Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, like to me, Ra's al Ghul is actually more of like the ultimate bad guy for Batman than Joker is.
Yeah.
But every hero needs to have their ultimate villain. It just they need to. It's the two halves of the same coin thing. It's like there is no Luthor. There's no Superman without Luthor. Yeah. And there is no fucking.
I kind of equate Joker as Doomsday.
Yeah.
He's an unstoppable force because he's that random X thing where you don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah, I agree with them.
You have to go to certain levels to stop them and stuff. But yeah, I feel as far as on a mental level, I felt Ra's al Ghul was always more is proper nemesis.
Yeah. Well, since we've been talking about S.H.I.E.L.D., this would be a good time to segue into the small amount of actual news that we have.
Yeah, but it's awesome fucking news.
It is, especially if you're a fan of the actor. Mark Dacascos is going to be playing a recurring character on S.H.I.E.L.D. Called Gaira, who apparently, according to the news report, is going to be introduced as S.H.I.E.L.D.'s new head of security.
Now, if any of you guys know who Mark Dacascos is an amazing martial artist who's been around, done movies like Only the Strong, Brotherhood of the Wolf. What was the one with Jet Li? He's been in a lot of Cradle to the Grave. He's been in a lot of martial arts films.
He was the Crow in the Crow series.
Yeah. He Iron Chef.
The Iron Chef.
Well, he for a while there he hurt his back, and they were very worried about. They were very worried about if he would ever be able to do a lot of this stuff. But then he ended up showing back up years later on Hawaii 5-0. And, makes an amazing villain, does a very cold, calculating villain. And it'll be interesting to see him play this character because, from what we saw, it looks like he was fighting with either against Bobby or having some sort of fight sequence, which I'm very excited about.
Definitely. I feel that S.H.I.E.L.D. is one of the best comic shows on TV right now. And it there's so much there. They do a great job with keeping side story stuff, because a lot of the other shows like Arrow and Flash that we watch and stuff, it's they have side stories, but they're not as pronounced as the ones on S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D., there's never more than 4 stories going at once, and they're all valid, they're all complete, something's going on. And I think they do the best job of keeping that under control.
I mean, for me though, that's always going to be a negative for me. I feel that's why it's right now, until Supergirl really gets going, I'm still going to say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is number 3. I'll put Arrow and Flash above it because that kind of can be a problem, is where they bounce around too much to the different stories, and it's I get it, it's cool, but and that is because in essence, other than Coulson, there isn't really too much of a driving main character. It's a group, it's a hardcore group, and they tend to give each character a good bit of their own thing, and I'm and that's cool, but it can get a little chaotic, and I think that's why I tend to Arrow and Flash is because it's a little bit more focalized on, like, you know, they are the main characters, and then they have a team with them, and things will happen with them, but it's never more important than what.
That's the difference in the shows, though, because like Flash and Arrow are shows about a person, and then the other people are tertiary characters, whereas Shield is a team show.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, I'm waiting to see what the DC Legends of Tomorrow is like, because. And that's the other thing, too, is, like, that's going to be a team of superheroes where, you know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is, like, there's really only one actual superhero in there, and then the rest of them are, like, agents that, you know, have their own little niches. And so that'll be okay, but... Like I said, I like it. It's just, it's probably never going to be above 3.
My biggest issue with S.H.I.E.L.D. this season is the fact that, like, apparently the Terrigen crystals cause, like, Skye to morph into, you know, Daisy, and during that process, apparently she became a Schlubadoo. Like, I don't know what happened, but, like, in the first couple seasons, Skye is, like, I found her, like, really attractive, and, like, she had cool hair and all that stuff, and, like, now she's got, like, a horrible schlubby haircut, and she's, like, anytime she's not fighting, she's very, like, mousy and schlubby, and I don't know, there's something about it that she's just changed in a weird-ass way.
Really, see, I'm the exact opposite. I think she's hotter now. Like, man, when they put her in the suit and gave her the powers,
it's that hair that's killing me. Like, that fucking schlubby, frumpy hair is killing me.
I don't know. The hairdo doesn't really bother me. I think, like, what they did with the character now, I find her more attractive because she's less, I don't know, rebellious teenager, bitchy kid and stuff. Because, like, man, the first couple seasons, she was a whiny shit. Like, just a whiny little bitch. And... you know, oh, poor pitiful me, I didn't get what I want, I'm putting time out, but I'm going to hack the world, and I'm like, I don't fucking care. But now that she's actually, like, had to, like, grow up and, you know, take on a moniker of, like, things, like, there's still that, you know, headstrong streak about her and stuff, but it's, like, more for the right reasons, like... Yeah. So I find her...
I don't like her
evolution
schlubby and frumpy like she is now.
I mean, yeah, she doesn't... I understand because, like, she's not in the bright clothes anymore.
I don't care about the clothes. It's that hair that kills me. I don't know why. It doesn't look good on her face.
Yeah. But, I mean, it makes sense, too, because, like, the longer hair, I guess, you know, for fighting.
I don't know. Like, Bobby's a badass fighter, but she still looks hot, you know?
Yeah. Well,
May's a badass fighter, still looks hot.
Well, May's been hot since, like, she was born. Yeah, that's kind of unfair. But
it's a nitpicky thing. It's just me. Like, I just, like, I don't know. Like, there's certain, like, that and the hatchet-faced barnacle head of fucking...
like, your hair's too
ATCU or whatever. Like, I just, like, don't give no fucks. But, no, it's been a really good show.
Yeah.
And I've been enjoying it heavily. You know what? I'm so torn about this next thing. Like, I do want to talk about it, but I don't care about the series, like, at all. But
come on,
you don't care either.
No, I can give a single fuck less. Well, no, okay. Let me rephrase that. I was hoping when I heard about this that they were gonna go with the new stuff they were doing.
Yeah.
With this,
let's just go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, it's CW is bringing out a show, was it Riverdale?
Called Riverdale,
which, if you guys know what Riverdale is, it's Archie. It's Archie Comics. And normally, nobody would give a fuck, because nobody gives a fuck about Archie Comics. But Archie Comics, as of recently, has decided to completely change, like, redefine themselves for the better as far as going into a more horror-style stuff. We've seen a lot of stuff, the Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Like, there was a free comic book thing for Halloween that was the reboot of Sabrina, and it was excellent.
Which is based in the Archie universe. And then there's Archie. There was a lot of, like, Archie's versus, like, Predator and Archie, like, other stuff like that, where they were trying to feel out if people would... Because, man, sales for Archie was dropping hard off. Like,
nobody cares.
Nobody cares because it's like...
so antiquated.
It's like, you know, Happy Days. Like, it's that last little episode of Make It Stop. But with the comics, they've gone a more, you know, like... I don't want to say Scooby-Doo route, but because it's a lot more gorier. It's a lot more visceral horror, which is cool.
I think Archie like died in the end of the Archie comics, and now like he's in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's like Archie in hell.
Yeah.
You know, and it's much more a serious thing. And like I think that's a good direction for it. It's like a new take on the characters. But this series is being produced by Greg Berlanti, who does all the DC shows.
Yeah.
The Flash, Supergirl, Arrow, all those things.
And this, from what we've read, this is not going to be what we were hoping.
Looks terrible.
This, to me, is going to be the new updated, like, 90210 OC type thing.
Yeah. Where on comicbookmovie.com, they released, CW's released the character descriptions of each character. And I'm just going to go through these because I'm going to read them because I have no other way to describe it. Like, I just have to read what it says.
It sounds
so. Those of you who've read Archie comics in the past, you know what Archie and Jughead and Betty and Veronica. You know those characters.
Iconic.
They're iconic characters.
Know what they are.
Yeah. Their version of Archie is a boyishly handsome but pumped and good-looking after working construction for his dad during the summer. He's grappling with heavy issues and juggling the interest of several girls while discovering his passion for writing and performing music against his father and his football coach's wishes. I don't want your life. That's what that is. Like, oh, and he's apparently harboring a dark, terrible secret. And then Betty, who's your blonde, perky archetype character, is the blonde, pretty sophomore, and she's having self-esteem issues and an affinity for Adderall, for fuck's sake. Eager to please, wholesome and studious. She has a super crush on her longtime best buddy Archie, but she's tired of being perfect and turns to her new friend Veronica for advice. She has an emotionally brittle mother and a goth sister. I'm just like, oh my god. And they're like two people into it, and I just can't give a shit. Then Veronica, apparently, the producers are aiming to ideally cast a Latina as this silver-tongued stunner who has returned to Riverdale from New York following a scandal which resulted in her father, apparently Bernie Madoff, going to prison. Extremely intelligent, self-confident, and incredibly popular, Veronica is eager to reinvent herself from mean girl to caring friend. Now, Jughead is the one that I just facepalmed the worst on. Jughead Jones they're apparently looking for a hearing-impaired actor, which I don't care about that, is being sought to play Jughead as an emo heartthrob. Okay, Jughead, who's essentially the Disney's Goofy person, you know, in fucking the Archie world, is an emo heartthrob with a philosophical bent. Why? Like, why is this Dawson's Creek all this? Like, this is what this is. Like, I see nothing more here in this description than, like, 90210 Dawson's Creek with, like, Archie character names. Why? Who's asking for this is my first question. Like, who out there, like, if you're a fan of Archie this is the problem I had with a lot of those update versions of things that are really old properties, like, be it like Tintin or fucking Gem or something like that. Like, what fan of Archie is asking for this to be an update? You know, this updated version where the characters are nothing remotely like they, you know, have been ever in the past. And I'm not saying you should do an Archie show where, like, Archie's, you know, like it is in the old comics, because no one's going to want to watch that either. But this description is not anything close to what they have previously done or what they're doing currently in the comics. Because if you're trying to, like, cross-promote this shit, people that are watching this show, they're gonna, like, not gonna make it one issue into these current comics.
Yeah, because it's not anything the same, and like you're fighting against what the comics are doing. And two, it's like
it's Jughead.
Yeah, it's basically it's another, like, teen drama crap that I could give a single fuck less.
I can already hear "I Don't Want to Wait" playing in the background of the fucking scenes of this shit. I don't give a fuck.
Till you get your fucking head cut off.
Do you think teenagers know who the fuck Archie and Veronica and Betty are? Like, no, they don't fucking know that shit.
It's just, I think it's a dumb idea. But I mean, I guess I could kind of understand to a degree because they already have a lot of supernatural based stuff on their show already, like on their fucking on the CW.
I just feel that this show's pointless.
Oh, like, yeah, no, this is
there is no audience for this.
Like, look at all the other fucking teen dramas they had on this thing. Most of them have kind of crapped out.
They have a very short shelf life.
Yeah,
all of these shows, very short shelf life.
Most of your stuff now is like supernatural, superhero, or like comedy-ish stuff.
This totally reminds me of like this is like the OC thing. It's like I remember when the OC came out, everybody's like, oh god, the OC or whatever. That show lasted 3 seasons and it died a death because that is a short shelf life of give a fuck.
Look at what happened with the 90210 when they brought it back out.
Fail.
Like, it was just like, One Tree Hill, all those fucking shows. It's like, yeah, they went for so long, but it's like, now they have almost the same shelf life as a fucking show on Nick.
Yeah.
Like the tween shows on Nick's, 3 years and stuff like that. It's because like nobody wants to watch that same bullshit over and over again. And it's like, this is
not even something that sounds like it's from 2015. Like, if I were just reading this and I didn't know that it was about to come out, I would have said this was 1996 or something. Yeah. I would have said this is the same time that fucking, the WB was doing fucking Dawson's Creek and fucking... One Tree Hill and all that shit like that. That's what this reads as. So, whatever. It may end up being something better. Like, obviously, I would never watch this shit.
Yeah, this is not going to be something I'm going to watch.
But I just, like, the Jughead one just kills me. It's Jughead. It's fucking Jughead. Like, he literally, like I said, he's literally the Disney's Goofy of the Archie universe. Mm-hmm. And you're going to make him an emo heartthrob. Like, what the fuck is that shit?
I'm like, how's he even going to be called Jughead? Like, what's the reasoning for calling him Jughead then? Like... It make no goddamn sense.
What I think, like, they're saying Jughead or whatever, and, like, they're saying they want a deaf, like, a hearing impaired actor or something. I'm like, is that why you're going to call him Jughead? Because he's, hearing impaired? Yeah. Like, that's horrible.
That is, like, offensive.
That's horrible and offensive. Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
And, like, I don't know. It's really weird, too, that you're going out for a hearing impaired person, emo heartthrob, that you're going to call, like, some sort of degrading name called, like, Jughead and stuff. And I'm like...
Let's just call him, like, Deffy the Deaf Boy. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's awful.
I think this one is not going to go over. Nope. I expect to see some blowback from this, the Jughead. And I actually kind of feel like the Veronica thing, like, specifically going for a Latina thing. And I'm like, okay.
And here's a little tip there, writers. This, like... fucking having a character be like the child of the Bernie Madoff character or whatever has been done to death lately. Mm-hmm. They did it on Two Broke Girls. They even did it on Bones. Fucking Aubrey on Bones is like his dad was the Bernie Madoff type character. Yeah. Like, okay, we get it. You read the news 5 years ago.
Gossip Girl.
Yeah, the Gossip
all
Girl
that
thing.
Shit and
it's been done.
And then to be like, oh, she was the bitchy girl, popular girl, and now she's like the sassy. And like, oh, we got to get a Latina. I'm like, why? Why does she have to be Latina? Like, that's in that kind of like stereotyping. Like, okay, all right. I mean,
like, I can't read this article without just groaning repeatedly because it sounds so fucking horrible.
It's like, I know they were trying to update Archie, but I feel like they didn't update it to now. They only got as far as like, oh, from the 1950s to 1990 something, and then it's like early 2000s. That's as far as we could go. Like, we only went up 50 years. We couldn't go all the way to current.
Yeah, you might as well call Paula Cole and have her start writing a fucking theme song.
Yeah,
for the show.
It's just like... Okay, guys, if you're going to update, you got to go all the way. You can't stop in, like, the 80s and shit. Like, we're going to stop in 1992.
We're going to cast the Archie. We're looking for a James Vanderbeek type.
We need a very, beakish.
We need a Vanderbeeker.
We need a Vanderbeeker.
Like, hey, guess what? James Vanderbeek's 40. It's like, it's over. Stop it.
That's when you're like, we need to go after Dawson's Creek. Gotta be like, all the actors in Dawson's Creek are in their 40s. They have kids. What does that tell you? Stop. Stop it right now.
It's something that struck me as weird, but we're coming to the end, and there's a few things I want to mention before the end. This week I picked up a book from a chat book from our friend Michelle. Her chat book of poetry, all handmade and awesome.
Yeah, actually really cool because I like something of that nature. Because if it's something as with so much substance as like poetry or lyrical stuff, I kind of feel like sometimes that gets cheapened by a very like mainstream published cover and stuff. And I think she went really awesome by doing like the handmade, tied together type stuff. It really very, very cool. Very
true to what it is.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah. So kudos to you, lady.
Yeah,
that was
it's
awesome.
Very awesome. I was happy to get it. And like, you can get it on her Etsy profile. But if you're like me and you don't use credit cards and you want to use PayPal, they don't take PayPal. But yeah, I just talk to Michelle and she can hook you up that way.
Yeah.
But that was great. In sadder news, I want to kind of send a little shout out to our friend J.R. Blanton. He lost his father today. Sad news. It is terrible. We've all been through, the loss of an important person, family or friend in our lives, and I'm sure we can all, sympathize with what he's going through. And so, I'd send my, condolences out to him and his family.
Yeah,
it's a very terrible and sad situation.
Send a prayer, some good vibes or whatever.
Yeah, whatever is your thing.
Come on, thing.
But
putty be a pal.
Also new this week, I have a brand new episode of the Todd Files up, talking to Bob Sally, the creator of the Awesome Salvager series. It's fucking fantastic. I downloaded them all in Comicsology and got to read them, and they're fantastic.
He has a really you should listen to it because he has a really interesting thought process on certain things that happen in the comic world, especially indie comics stuff. And I think you guys will like it, or at least it'll challenge some of your guys' thoughts on things.
Yes, so absolutely. Bob is a great interview, and I had a really good time talking to him. Yep. You guys can find that, of course, at podcastgarden.com/podcast/the Todd Files, and many links that I post during the week because I like to post links to things.
And definitely check out Salvagers because it is fucking sweet.
Yes, it's awesome. The characters are very iconic. It's very cool. If you like Firefly, if you like Star Wars, any of that stuff, you're gonna like Salvagers.
Yeah.
It's excellent stuff. And that's pretty much everything. I'll do my normal social media whoring that we normally do.
Yep.
If you like what you've heard here and you like the show, you can check us out on Facebook. We're Basement Fodder on Facebook or Todd Dave on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you want to check out the Todd Files, it's facebook.com/the Todd Files.
Oh, you're gonna be somewhere soon, though.
I am gonna be somewhere soon. Actually, this week also.
Remember that shit, motherfucker.
Good job. Yeah. If you can't get enough of the dulcet tones of my voice, you can also listen to me on the Stuff podcast this week, where I join Mike Watson and his crew, and we talk the zombie apocalypse and nerds training for the zombie apocalypse.
You motherfuckers are all so lucky I was not there because I would have made so many of you motherfuckers cry. I'm not even kidding. We talked about this. We may do a show about this because I would have been really fucking real with these people. All right? He's listened to me rant about this shit. You got to be real about this. And I would have listened to half these motherfuckers, and I would have been on the mic screaming fucking shenanigans 3 centimeters from this motherfucker's face, shenanigans. You think you're gonna do this, but your ass is gonna die 5 feet from your fucking doorstep, motherfucker. You are not gonna survive the first 5 hours of a zombie apocalypse. Don't even be I'm gonna go do this, this, and this. You're gonna shit yourself, you're gonna die, and you're gonna be God damn, that plan didn't work at all.
Yeah, I was very realistic. I said that the second there was no air conditioning or sesame chicken, I blow my brains out.
And that, I will hold back my rant. We will do this. It's going to happen.
We're going to do a show. But maybe for the 100th show, we may actually do the zombie apocalypse.
Might get some other people, too, because I want to hear other people so I can fucking tell them how their plans are probably shenanigans because of one simple thing, because too much goddamn fanboying.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. You guys can find that on SoundCloud.com. You can search for the stuff. And then also, if you're on SoundCloud, check out Not Another Origin Story, our good friend Matt Metzger's show as well.
Yeah.
But if you would like to see me in person, live.
If you guys listen to his show, maybe leave some comments that he needs to work about on his line work. Maybe how to get colors in the lines. That really helps. I mean, maybe just have your 6-year-old children send him pictures so he can understand what it looks like where colors are in the line and outside the lines.
Why are you hating on Metzger?
Because it's fun. Because we do this all the time. He knows I love him.
If you want to see me live and in person, I'm going to be back in the state of Michigan on November the 21st for the second round of Taylortown Comic-Con in Taylor, Michigan. I'm going to be there. Stephanie Maynard is going to be there from Drunk Dorks and from Master Plot Comics. Jared Blanton, of course, is going to be there with his Light Earth He's also gonna be there. There's gonna be actors and actresses there. I can't remember the names off the top of the head, but if you check out John Colell on Facebook, you can check out the Taylortown show and everybody that's gonna be there. And it's shaping up to be a very fun show, and it's gonna be my next to last appearance at a convention for the year. Mm-hmm. My last one is gonna be at Stebbins Con. I believe that's December 2nd. I'm not entirely positive on that one, which that will be out, of course, at Walter E. Stebbins High School, and more details to come on that one as we get closer to it. But come on out and see me at the Taylortown Comic Con if you are so inclined to do so.
Do it.
And you, of course, can find all of the links to our shows and everything like that on our Twitter account, which is at Basement Fodder. But I believe that's going to wrap it up this week.
So much social media.
So much. Yes. We're also on Instagram and Tumblr, although Tumblr I basically use to follow naked people.
Yeah, so. Dude, Tumblr is like, my friend just was like, hey, you should join Tumblr. And I'm like, why? And they're like, 'cause like, I've got a whole thing of just like porn. And I was like, okay. Wow, you do. Like, that is all. She's like, that's all I use Tumblr for is just porn.
And I'm like, porn heavy.
It is super porn heavy. I'm like, Jesus Christ, do people use this for anything else? And they're like, no, it's pretty.
Well, if you like to look at pictures of my face, you can use Instagram.
If you'd like to look at pictures of my fucking beard.
Yes. And of course, if you're in the market for a custom superhero action figure,
yep, you
can check out me at Tight Trap Customs on Facebook, and I'd be happy to possibly do something, but maybe not depending on what it is. But I'm always happy to make money. So that's going to wrap it up for this week from the Basement of Doom. This week, I am Todd.
And I'm Dave.
And until next time, the basement door is closed.
Later, bitches.
Later. You've been listening to a Basement of Doom production. To find out more about Basement of Doom Productions and all of its family of shows, please check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/basementfodder and on Twitter at basementfodder.